Lieutenant Middlebrooks. I'm talking to Lieutenant Middlebrooks. Mm-hmm. Lieutenant Middlebrooks, are you aware of any misconduct or abuse from the Assistant Chief to Officer Whitehouse?
I mean, we can go
You're
back
not
over it.
answering him, Officer Whitehouse. He is asking you when you can come in.
And
Stop and listen. He is asking you when you come in. He's not asking you for maybe a when or this. Officer Whitehouse. Officer Whitehouse. Officer Whitehouse. Officer Whitehouse. Officer Whitehouse. If that affected you, why don't you pick up the phone and call?
Call the person that's suspended me? What?
You're just going to talk over me? Officer Whitehouse, step out of the room, please.
GT's going hot with a story out of Warm Springs, Georgia, and Officer Jessica Whitehouse. Please make sure to like, share, subscribe, to include smashing that notification bell right quick, fast, and in a hurry. On September 19, 2022, Officer Jessica Whitehouse went to work as a part-time peace officer with the city of Warm Springs, Georgia. This was approximately 1 month since the incident in Milledgeville, Georgia took place. During her employment in Warm Springs, she had a hard time negotiating the FTO program. Quote, recruit Whitehouse's field training began with a rough start in September of 2022. Ultimately, at the end, she got it together. Her attendance improved and her performance was high. She completed FTO in March as required, end quote. On May 5th, 2023, a letter of reprimand was given to Jessica Whitehouse due to her not showing up for her shift. The shift was left open and calls had to be answered. In addition, she was to enroll in a peer support program with the state, and it must happen before returning to duty. On June 16, 2023, Jessica Whitehouse was terminated from the Warm Springs Police Department. The termination was effective immediately. The events that followed up to this termination will be covered in this story. After the highlighted portions of this interview, I have provided the approximate full 1.5 hours of the interview with the police chief. Let's get into it.
You gave me advice.
Well, I did, and I'm going to get to that now. So here's the thing. In the past, what you're discussing is you not completing your tasks. You had an arrest report that wasn't handled in a timely manner. The assistant chief's job, let me talk. The arrest, you wrote a citation for marijuana, which is an arrest. It's a release, but you had to get that. You had evidence. Did you not have drug evidence?
Yes, and I finished that.
You did not finish that report that night.
No, I finished the evidence because the
When do you think stop interrupting me. When do you think that report should have got done? You've been in law enforcement, what, 7 years? When should that report got done?
Can I answer? We should have done that night, but the computer system was logging us out, and it logged him out of my manual.
Okay, so we didn't tell you to take it home. You blemish what's happened. You asked me if you could take home a computer, and I told you no, that we needed our computers here. You said when you could come back in to finish the report, and then I allowed you to take a computer with the understanding that computer had to be back within 2 days' time. Because that's how long you did, because you were standing there, I was speaking to you. There's no way you would misunderstand that unless you weren't listening, Jessica. You confirmed you took the computer home. Assistant Chief Mobbs doesn't act on his own. He is a direct reflection, and I've stated this to you and all officers. If he asks you something, it's coming from the chief. He had to hunt you down for a week to get that computer, to the point where the captain had to come and get the computer from you. Did he not?
Never had any contact with Assistant Chief. The first time I was contacted by the computer was him.
He didn't call you and you didn't return calls or texts?
Because
when was the last time I called you, Jessica? Officer Whitehouse, when was the last time I called you?
We'll go back. You asked me.
I know the answer. When was the last time I called you? Read the whole text. Okay. Just tell me how many that are there before I respond.
You didn't.
I did.
Actually, I said where 2 of them didn't even go through.
Yeah, and that's an issue with your phone, and that's been an issue in the past about responding and your phone not working. You just sat 2 weeks ago with me and the lieutenant talking about you not responding to someone when you think you're in trouble, and that action had to stop.
And it has.
Stop.
When you called me, I'm talking.
I'm not interrupting you when you speak. Don't interrupt me.
Well, then can I have a piece of paper so I can go back to these? Or a pen, sorry. Because we did this stuff, and I may have changed this.
We just had a talk. We had to talk about you seeking help that the assistant chief set up for you. And we had to talk about you responding to calls. 7 days without a return call to me on a Sunday because you're the on-duty officer. So you understand there is only the email that you sent the assistant chief this past weekend and 2 other emails that are correspondence between you and him. We have the text messages of your interaction, which are not the same as what you're sending. You sent screenshots of an interaction you had with me that never happened. If you look at the screenshot, it shows that those texts failed to send.
The last 2, yes, sir.
So there's no interaction that you've had with me. You replied with a bunch of other stuff instead of
Going off of what you told me.
when I'm going. I did not tell you to not listen to your assistant chief, Officer Whitehouse. He is the assistant chief of police. He is your boss's boss. If he contacts you, if I contact any of these gentlemen, they call me back within 30 minutes. If they can't call me back within 30 minutes, they call me back by end of day when they're done at their regular jobs. When someone calls me, it's 30 minutes or end of day, depending on what I'm doing. It doesn't go by day by day by day. You don't hear from me. I'm calling you whether you work for me or I work for you, or you're a citizen, because that's the right thing to do. So do you really want to go that route with everyone sitting here?
We can pull up my
It doesn't
records.
matter.
We can pull up my finances.
Your
This
finances
the first
is
week
your
I've gotten 40
responsibility.
hours since
Your
December, January of last
Officer
year.
Whitehouse, your finances are your responsibility. Your duty to the agency is your other responsibility.
And I do
They
my
shouldn't
diligence.
interfere with each other. If they do, you need to prioritize one or the other.
Have I not come to you, Chief?
Attacking him, and you're not responding to his order. You're not responding to his order, which is, I need you to come to my office. When can you come in? This is when I can come in. Roger that. Call me ahead of time. Let me know you're coming in. That's the proper response. That is not what's happened in any of these text
I
messages.
laid my schedule so that he could tell me, because he wants me to come
He-
in when
he-
it's during the weekday, and I can't.
Do you not understand what you're doing? Then you sent a lengthy text accusing him of misconduct. I've yet to see any misconduct. However, I am open to an investigation to make sure there's no misconduct. You also stated that he gave you permission. He has just stated he did not give you permission, and that he was on your side about this misconduct and abuse. Lieutenant Middlebrooks. I'm talking to Lieutenant Middlebrooks. Lieutenant Middlebrooks, are you aware of any misconduct or abuse from the Assistant Chief to Officer Whitehouse?
I know.
Right. You were never suspended. You were never terminated. You were never suspended. You were never terminated. Have you signed a sheet that said you were suspended?
You're taking me off the roster?
Have you signed a sheet that said you were suspended? It's a yes or no question, Officer Whitehouse.
No.
Did you sign a piece of paper saying you were terminated?
No.
Were you
told me to come in
given
for it.
were you given a piece of paper that said you were terminated?
Can I speak, please?
I asked you a question.
No, it wasn't. But I was told to
Did
bring my
anyone
stuff.
tell you were terminated?
I was told to bring my
Standard
stuff.
suspension would require you to turn in your stuff, which you're facing a suspension for dereliction duty and abandoning post that you have yet to come in and speak with the assistant chief about, where you could have gone, hey, look, this is what happened, or hey, in person, so there's no misconstruing anything, you have failed to meet with the assistant chief of police of the police department, who was your immediate supervisor and your supervisor's supervisors. If you would have looked at the schedule, you would have saw that Captain Hearn was in training all week. So who do you respond to then? The assistant chief, correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you think the assistant chief wants to be bogged down with chasing you down?
He reached out to me and I responded.
Because he was
appropriately.
told to reach out to you by
And
the
I
chief of
responded.
police. Because the chief of police had to come in on a Sunday and work your shift that you did not have permission not to be here. That again, you left the citizens of this city at risk.
I don't know.
That he asked you to bring your badge and your gun and your ID? So I told him to tell you that.
I don't understand the escalation to what, I mean, we can go back
You're
over
not
it.
answering him, Officer Whitehouse.
was.
He is asking you when you can come in.
And I
Stop.
answered him.
Stop and listen. He is asking you when you come in. He's not asking you for a maybe a when or this. A direct answer is, I can come in on this date at this time. He asked you on the phone. He asked you to call him back. He asked you in a text. And you have increasingly became hostile or
I'm hostile now.
sit down, please. Or I've seen all the texts. Or you have given him way too much information instead of answering the question.
Can you ask this? You asked
Do
me
you not think that your text messages are condescending?
how are they condescending?
You're reading them as they're not, but do you not think that they're condescending in tone?
Just escalating. First it was you're off the roster. This is off the schedule. That hit me like if you had been there, you'd have been like, oh, okay, I see.
Officer Whitehouse. Officer
Because I had
Whitehouse.
no idea
Officer
what was
Whitehouse.
going on with the
Officer
city.
Whitehouse.
So I can't
Officer
talk.
Whitehouse. If that affected you, why don't you pick up the phone and call?
Call the person that suspended me?
He's the assistant chief, is he not? He didn't suspend you. He told you, took you off the roster until you made contact with him, right? Until you came
I
in?
had been in contact with him all week.
Your text messages are not ain't responding to him. And if it was that egregious to you, why didn't you call me?
You told me I can't talk to you.
So if it was that egregious because you're avoiding the assistant chief, why are you going to call me? If the assistant chief is telling you he needs to see you, why would you call me? You had an issue once he needed to see you, Officer Whitehouse.
And I said I would come in.
You did not give a time or a date, which is what he originally asked you.
I said the 7th and the 5th is right here.
You said the 7th and the 12th, and that's still not a time or date. That is choices. He's not asking you for a choice.
I'm putting it back in his court to tell me when to report.
You needed to take action and you didn't. He asked you specifically.
I gave him a date. It's right here.
What is your statement, Lieutenant? You're playing semantics, saying we told you not to overextend yourself, so I was standing my ground. It's not the same.
No.
That's exactly what you're doing right now.
Yes, sir.
Stop interrupting me, Officer Whitehouse. You are playing semantics. You knew it was an issue. You needed to make time to come in and see the assistant chief. You failed to do that. And instead, you gave drawn out statements as you're doing, and you came up with a theory in your head instead of the facts that were placed in front of you. If you're suspended from this agency, your weapon, ID, and badge will be turned in while you're under suspension. You will be restricted on what you're allowed to do. That's any officer. It's not just you. Well, that's the standard.
About the draft report?
No one suspended you. You're reaching for things instead of dealing with the issue. You did not get permission not to be here.
And that was a misunderstanding because I thought us talking, that's my chain of
The
command.
assistant chief is trying to talk to you about that issue. You have failed to make time. You have failed to communicate. Instead, you have turned that there's a hostile work environment with the assistant chief. I've given you a means to file a complaint, but that doesn't null and void the issues that we're having right now.
Can I have one
No.
where he brought me into the office and it was for a draft report. He told me I needed to come in. That's what.
You're just going to talk over me? Officer Whitehouse, step out of the room, please. You ready? Be back shortly, Bubba.
Right?
But no,
So-
the gang shootings have been out of control. Threats. We had viable threats within the city where they were going to come and shoot up the city a couple times this past week. All the last 3 shootings were within 3 miles of the city, except for, of course, the ones in Talbot. So they've moved the graduation to Columbus. We were originally going to go help them during graduation in Manchester and do security, but now they've moved it so they don't need us. And Talbot 10 High School is still trying to figure out what they're going to do with their graduation because the threats are back and forth. The shootings are escalating. We've had several.
And it's very irritating to me because the Civic Center is a defendable location. So that's why they went there. But, my conversation with my director is like, we're a state facility. We should be able to do that. I mean, what the hell? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But they're not seeing my way.
Well, this is the best way, if they think it's the best way, so.
All right. It is May 7th at 11:01 a.m. at Warm Springs City Hall. Present is Officer Whitehouse, the mayor, myself, Chief Quintana, Captain Hearn, and Lieutenant Middlebrooks. This is in reference to disciplinary issue and then also a complaint of harassment. Officer Whitehouse, the reason I called you here today and called this meeting is the ongoing disciplinary issue between yourself and the orders that the assistant chief has been issuing you on a missed workday, April 23rd, or not April 23rd, April 30th. In response to him contacting you you sent a lengthy text to myself, and I believe to him, of him harassing me, and that you had evidence of this egregious harassment. Text up.
I've got something that Laura can say is an
Text up. There it is. I'm going to read your text, and then I'm going to address the issue, okay? All right. From you to me and to Assistant Chief Moms. Open door policy first and foremost. I hold you in high respect. I'm being high moral ground and very ethic chief. I will not be speaking with the person I request a formal complaint on. EEOC requires that I go to any supervisor, and I have done that. Captain Hearn over patrol, and my Lieutenant Middlebrooks, and now you. There's 3 staff command I have notified of my formal complaint directed at Assistant Chief Moms. I did not break any policy and did advise you that the weekend of my sister's death that of switching Sundays. But in the chance that I was too distraught to and misspoke, nevertheless, I let Captain over patrol know. Please call him and ask him. I know my captain won't lie. My captain knew. I spoke with Captain Hearn over patrol for 40 minutes on the 29th at length about the switch, and he encouraged on me mulling over taking many days off to grieve my sister investigation her death. He heard my distress and was very aware of Sunday's plans. So again, I broke no policy. When I do speak to Assistant Chief Mobbs tomorrow in front of witnesses before I go to my main income, I will make sure I have a witness in regards to covering myself and law enforcement career. I am praying on the hopes that you just don't know the timeline and full story as to why this has gone on this long. I am now terminated and woke up to a text today that I must turn my badge, my ID card, and my gun in on Sunday. So before I have that meeting, I am filing a formal complaint against against a Chief Mobbs. And if the suspension and termination continues, I am going to request a formal complaint go even further to the mayor. I want this to stop. That's all I ask, but it hasn't. My sister just died, and I had a complete different outlook on this department. But Assistant Chief Mobbs has made my point of view and love of this department change. I pray you are just unaware or blind to the fact, and I will present before you. I pray with the trust I have in you as my chief that you just don't know the hardcore evidence of this situation and how badly Mobbs has been in this. I am readily available to share that to a supervisor, again, other than Mobbs. His conduct and behavior to me has been grossly mishandled and escalated without merit. You have stated in public and with other staff of your open door policy, so I am not breaking policy by texting you about my formal complaint against Assistant Chief Mobbs concerning federal guidelines. It has escalated to this because nobody is taking me serious, and you're not willing to speak to me. I have followed chain of command and asked to speak to you, You told it Middlebrooks to tell me to contact Moms. I will not contact him without a witness. Lost my place. I am home alone with my children and have no recording device. He has done multiple wrong things so far and cannot be trusted with communication. So, to protect my career, I respectfully declined in speaking with him due to this unethical behavior towards me. I will not contact the person I wish to file a formal complaint on. He has caused this entire situation to explode, and this isn't the first time either. I now have Captain Hearn and Lieutenant Middlebrooks on my side about this, as they have seen my evidence. They don't understand why Mobs is doing this to me either, and I have not presented any of my evidence to suggest a explosion and escalation towards me as Mobs has. Not one just reason. Your 2 command staff now know they aren't on board with this, and I feel you have left me to be mishandled by the Assistant Chief Mobs on this. This is all miscommunication and mishandling on Assistant Chief's actions towards me. I say this in closing, whether you want me gone or not, you hired me because I am a good ethical officer and will stand up for what's right. You know, when you hired me, I am an ethical officer and will call out wrongdoings, no matter the rank. I have stood against a department 50 times bigger than ours because I was and will always do what's right. But I know the chief that you are, and you wouldn't allow this behavior to go on if you knew the facts. I don't do favors, and I don't allow others to use their rank to abuse their officers or tarnish their careers. I will not be replying for this point forward to Assistant Chief Mobs unless I have witness present. And I hope that you are just as disgusted by his mishandling of the entire situation as everyone else is when you finally listen to me. Your own officer and hear what I have to say. I've documented several times in emails, text, and logs about Assistant Chief Mobs. I was promised that I would have my command come from my captain over patrol, but Assistant Chief Mobs finds something every week, and as soon after a close death to boot. Everything was explained on Sunday to Assistant Chief Mobs, 29th, over the phone call, but he has carried on his harassment and bullying through text messages nonstop and can't make this anymore. I just can't. I am still confused as to why or what I'm in trouble for. I have done everything Assistant Chief Mobs has asked me, and again, broken no policies or have had with any merit cause any of this escalation from Assistant Chief. This is all him, and I am still standing here grieving and mourning, on top of confusion, now anger, as to why I cannot be left alone by Assistant Chief Mobs. I hope you have a great night, Chief. I am sorry to text so late. I have dealt with this since Sunday from Assistant Chief Mobs, and I am shutting my phone off to center myself around my children. Assistant Chief Mobs has ruined my entire work week, and I have been upset about this every day. It just keeps getting worse. So I'll contact him tomorrow, but if you would like to see the facts or call any of the witnesses of their understanding on this, then maybe this can be handled better. I have not broken any of your policies, not one. So whatever happens this weekend, it's going to be the end of it. If it doesn't, then I am ready to walk away and resign. You, of all people, Chief, know I am not mentally and financially capable of to have this every day and every week from Assistant Chief Mobs. My chain of command is Captain Hearn. My ultimate chain of command is you. I cannot see how you don't see he's targeting me and ruling with his abuse of power over me on this. So, I will continue to pray that it's just because you don't know the entire details of his gross actions. Thank you and have a great night. I will be including Assistant Chief Mobs in this text and in hopes that I get no more hostile or unjust termination texts without an explanation from him again until I can gather your attention of this gross matter at hand. Officer Jessica Whitehouse. You did send that?
Yes, sir.
Can you go get him to unlock that for me?
Get who? Oh, yeah, I'll be right back.
You'll see
Here you go,
that.
Johnny, unlock.
It's a coping mechanism. I write a lot and I text a lot and I explain, over-explain. But that's just something that I've always done. That you kind of want to make somebody feel what you're feeling and understanding.
That was a text.
And then I sent it an email.
Thank you. Let me close this, pull up my phone log. Do me a favor. Just do this every 3
You want me to
seconds.
read it?
No, just do that every 3 seconds so it'll lock up.
Oh.
I talk way too much on the phone. 7 days ago. Okay. What is your complaint?
Please start from this is Kathy.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, we'll go back to the original situation. My plan was to, I believe I had spoke with you in person about working the Sunday, the weekend that my sister died. The night that she died on Friday, I called my chief, distraught, screaming. I probably can't recite, usually I'm good at reciting everything because I'm always living fear about being judged or persecuted, so I remember small details, but I do remember saying that I still needed to come in because I knew that her impending death that just happened, that I would need the money. The way that our pay system works, everybody gets paid on Friday. For whatever reason, I get paid on Tuesday. And I knew that her memorial and her service would be on Wednesday. So I had planned to still come in. That was going to be a switch day, and I spoke with the chief that night. Fast forward to Sunday that I actually come in, the weekend of her death. Our charger got hot. And I sent the chief a text and said, hey, the charger got hot. I'm going to tell you about the truck. He's been giving issues of it. And I believe he said to something like that, he said, you're there? Are you okay? Are you up for it? And I said, yeah, I'm just not answering, talking, just holding it in. If I can suppress it, I'm good at suppressing things. Hold it in, I'm okay right now, I promise. But, basically, like, if I got through a day crying or upset about her death, that'll excuse myself from me if I'm not mental capacity to be living acting officer. So that happened. Then the following week come in that Saturday, and the night before, I had like my car door open. So I sent my text to my captain, and I said, hey, I'm running a little late. Got a lot on my mind. Feel like I'm not, at this point, I've not had a day off of work to even grieve my sister. And he sent me a text, said, did you make it there okay? My captain did. And so when I was pulling in, he said, hey, I just got up and called me. We stayed on the phone for about 40 minutes. And I know myself in speaking, and I know we're recorded, that I probably sounded a little bit manic and crazy, and he calmed me down. He realized the basis of how this is affecting me because of things that are coming forth, like the life insurance he got from my sister, the different timelines that he didn't give to officers that he gave to the coroner, that he now gave to my sister, different things. I explained that in detail. I said, I'm just not going to be able to sit tight with my mother, my father, and now my sister passing within less than 2 years. All this is just really compounded on me, and I can't handle it, not so soon. And he said, well, you think you might need to take some days off to relax, to breathe, and we need to talk to the chief about it. And he said, no, I don't want to take any days off, but I had already planned to switch the Sunday for the Sunday, so I think tomorrow I'm going to gather what I can, because when I was talking to him, I was very hot. I was being explicit about her ex-husband, calling him all kind of names. He said, calm down, center yourself. He should be the therapist. Because he can take me from like 11, he always has, since day one, since I've been here. I could be at 11, and he'll bend me and tell me to 0, and I'll have a different aspect of everything, and understanding. I'm grounded when I talk to Captain Hunt. Me and Captain Hunt work beautifully together. So, we talked, he calmed me down, and he said, we need to separate emotion. Going forward, this is probably what you need to do, open records, this, that, and the other. I said, I think I'm going to do that tomorrow. When I leave here today, I'm going to spend some time with the boys. He said, it's beautiful outside. It's a beautiful day. Why hold all that anger and depression and grief over your sister and angst, I guess. He said, it's a beautiful day. Don't waste it. Hey, do me a favor. Before we got the phone, he said, shoot the chief a text to remind him. I said, I will. I didn't remind. That's something that I did not send a reminder to the chief. I didn't. So Sunday goes by. And I went to the Lamar County Sheriff's Office. I did an open records request. Didn't have anybody really there that would speak to me. I went to Marcus River, my sister's widowed husband. He was so intoxicated that he was falling over in the driveway. So at this point, my children were upset because they didn't want to be around this. Because anytime I deal with my sister or talk about the situation in depth in particular, I get upset and I don't want them to see. But they were upset. So I went to Mr. Marcus's house to gather some of her things. I don't have nothing of her.
Officer Whitehouse.
I'm going through the steps of what happened and how me and Mom's got into. It's the next sentence, I promise. So I removed myself from Mr. Marcus because I said, have myself appropriately. I get my children in my car. I get my phone throws out. So I had to reset it and restart it. And I see that I have a text from Assistant Chief Mom says, hey, did you know you're supposed to be at work today? And I said, no, sir. I explained the whole situation up to this point that I spoke with the chief that I planned to go ahead and work that weekend of her death so that we could have the funds for her funeral, and that it was a switch out. I said, I forgot. I did. I forgot to send a reminder to the chief. But I spoke to my captain about it. Told him I was very upset. In detail like I am right now. As I'm speaking, or as I'm texting that, I'm like thinking, okay, it's clear, covered, called me. And so it was parking my sons. Now I had already sent him a text, but I was there with him. I just got him, had a bad day. But he called me and I answered. So who did you switch out with? And I said, I didn't switch out with anybody. Nobody was here Sunday. I was the only officer on scene. I just switched the days. That's all. Well, who did you talk to? And I explained again. Well, originally I talked to the chief. I said, but I was supposed to send a reminder, and I didn't send a reminder. I said, but the following week, the weekend of, that same question, I spoke to my captain. Okay, so you told him? I said, yes, sir, I did. And I could hear people in the background. I don't know if he was at home or if he could hear me, but I'm like, so I feel I get nervous, and so I overshare. I said, I really don't want to talk about what I did today. Talking about my sister. I said, but if I will, if you want to know that. So we had to go into that whole detail. I told him everything. Went to Lamar County, went there. I said, I separated myself. Don't worry. I didn't handle myself in any unprofessional behavior. He was like, oh, okay. Well, come in and see me whenever you get a chance. I said, well, okay. Because me knowing ahead, my week is completely booked until Saturday. I said, okay, yes, sir. That was it. We hung up. Monday goes by. Tuesday. Officer Whitehouse, I need you to come in as soon as possible. This is where the thing is stated. I mean, I've got others that I want to cover. But this, he said, Tuesday at 1:02, I'm at work and I'm in jail. We just had an active shooter, I'm sure you heard, in Atlanta. It literally happened a couple blocks from where I was at. So, as little interference, and I've let this be known, as little interference as I can have while in Atlanta. Sometimes I'm riding two men, meaning we don't have enough cars to have another officer with me, and we can't be on our phones. We can't be texting card Bentley or take pictures of us. We're the most hated people in Atlanta. We're safety parking tickets. So he sends me a text, hey, I need you to come in the office as soon as you can. Got some things I need to go over with you. Also, your detection form needs to be finished. I replied, I'm so sorry, but I can't come in anytime soon. I'm hoping my texts are coming through. My work schedule for my main income job is Monday through Thursday, 8:45 a.m. to 7:45 p.m. Mandated school appointment for my son on Friday. Parentheses, I can send you the appointment information to you if you need me to. And my main income again is back on Saturday, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. I said, and for the radar, Lieutenant Middlebrooks told me to fill out the paperwork and online only parts that pertain to me. The rest has to be filled out by the instructor submitting my paperwork. He also instructed me to redo the log sheet, and I did that. He said he would fill out the rest. So I'm confused as to what's missing, question mark. Can you ask him what I did wrong, question mark? Because I did exactly what Lieutenant Middlebrooks told me to do when he was there for my sister's funeral. We talked about it, like, because he became, as respects us one spring. And then my next was, I wish I could take time off from my main income job to come in, but I can't. If there's any way I can complete what's missing online for the radar, question mark, I can send it right back in because it would continue up to my knowledge. The Lieutenant Middlebrooks said he would finish and show the part to me, or maybe send it over to me so I don't have to travel all the way back to the office to complete it, question mark. So I don't miss my 40-hour job. That would help us out a lot. We are struggling really, really bad right now, and I can't afford to miss my main income hours. I just can't. Thank you, and just let me know. My next immediate response from Assistant Chief, without any, this was Tuesday, 8:03 p.m. Jessica, what do you not understand? I told you to be in my office your next day off. I need to know what day that is going to be. That is all I said. This is all I said was be in my office. I'm not telling you to miss your 40-hour job. I replied instead of correcting him because his first text said, didn't say anything about when's your next day off, when can you come in and see me. It said I need you in my office as soon as possible. So let's go back. I didn't correct him. I said, respectfully, Sunday, May 7th. The next one is Friday, May 12th. I said, I'm trying to work as much as I can to catch up Assistant Chief. My usually one day off for Fridays and Sundays. Rowdy, my special needs child, has IEP, special needs meeting on Friday with 5 specialists, so I don't know how long that will last. But I can try to make it in after that appointment, question mark. I just have to bring the boys, question mark. I can do that if you want me to, question mark. Or we can try for the 12th, question mark. I can come back the following weekend. I said I come back the following weekend on that Saturday. Me being accommodating, like, what do you want? I'll do anything you want to. Assistant Chief's mom's next text reply without any question or anything, explanation. Jessica, as of now, you have been taken off the schedule for work. This is until you come in to see me. I have told you to come see me on your next day off. I don't need you to bring your children with you. Till then, you are not on the schedule. Now let's pause just for a minute. To me, that means that I'm suspended. It doesn't really even make sense to me because I don't come back until the 13th anyway. I told you my next day off was the 7th or the 12th, right? The 7th is today. The 12th is the following weekday that would be accommodated for his hours. All up here, I'm being accommodated, telling him, going into detail, giving him my schedule. What do you want me to do? I'll do anything you want me to do. What days can you work around it? What is missing? Can he doesn't learn? Things like that. So let's go back to his. You taking off the schedule. I said, wow, that is horrible of you to do that to me. What are the grounds for my suspension and termination? Because that's what it means to me.
What about the text before that?
Jessica, you have now been taken off?
No.
I still don't know what this is about?
Yes.
Okay, we'll do that one. I still don't know what this one's about. That's, to me, it goes, wow, that is horrible, and then it goes, I still don't know what this is about. So that's the order mode, but I'll skip to that. I still don't know what this is about. But I want to make sure that's what you're doing to me since I'm suspended or terminated. I have all our communication text saved, and this is absolutely positively to put me on to hyper-focus on me again so soon after my sister's death. This is so incredibly horrible to me. I said, your original, because I'm at work. Now I'm taking myself out of the network for working. My boss, I had to call him and let him know. I'm at work, I still don't know why I'm taken off the roster, and just because we're having a friendly, you need to come in, well, I can't come in, because we're gonna circle back around, because, we had alert training, you for recording, the chief and Lieutenant Millbrooks had a meeting with me about my mental health, and about giving you counsel to me about all this being over compounding, overwhelming for me to speak out and reach out to somebody. I hadn't had a chance to do that. But their point of view and their words and advice to me specifically were, Jessica, you've got to stop coming in. If you can't come in when it's going to hurt you or your children or your job, say no. Don't overextend yourself. Don't carry too much of a load. Stop saying no. If you can't do it, that's fine. We'll understand. If it interferes with your main job and how you make money, support
Officer
your
Whitehouse, I need you to focus on your complaint.
Your assistant chief back to the recording. Your original text to me was that I needed to come in and
The next text as well.
So you don't want me to read the one?
That's after that.
It's the very first one.
I'm telling you what's in this phone. The next text is wow. This is the communication that you're sending to the assistant chief. You wrote still after his text and then wow. Very long text. I can't help that your phone's not functioning the way it's sending. This is what the assistant chief is reading. So
But I just want to make it clear for record that that's not how it was sent.
but that's how it's received.
Okay, so for documentation record, you want me to read the second one in?
I want you to read wow.
Okay, that's the first one.
That's not the first one that the chief is receiving.
But do you see on my phone that it's the first one?
Do you understand that you're sending work messages to the assistant chief in response to his contact to you, and that's what he's reading? So it doesn't matter how you sent it, that's the message you're conveying. You know there's issues with your phone, which we're going to discuss, but this is what's coming in through this.
But for clarifying purposes, if I'm understanding...
I can see that you're saying you sent the other text
okay,
before
that's
that.
all I want. I just want knowledge of it. Wow, that is so horrible of you to do that to me. What are the grounds for my termination suspension, sir? This is so unprofessional and unethical. But just so that I'm clear before I send my letter, I want to make sure that the timeline is correct. April 30th, contact me while I'm at the park with my son. I sent proof that I spoke to our captain of patrol about switching Sundays. I sent proof that I had contact with my chief on Saturday the 22nd about working that Sunday for this Sunday. Then you tell me to come in and see you when I can. I replied, yes, sir. Tuesday, May 2nd, you send me a text telling me to come in as soon as possible and mention my radar that I completed was not completed. Tuesday, May 2nd, I replied, we really need the money right now, and I'm booked 8:45 a.m. to 8:45 p.m. Tuesday through Thursday. I have therapy, staff, teacher, graduation meeting for my son's school on Friday the 5th, and I return to my main income on May the 6th, the Saturday. I apologized and said I'm so sorry, but I can't come in this week, but what can I do to finish this radar? Question mark. What's missing? Question mark. Trying to accommodate to whatever was going on. Another 10 point. You never replied and mentioned anything else about my radar. Tuesday, May 2nd, you replied verbatim, rudely. Jessica, what do you not understand? I told you to be in my office on your next day off. I need to know what that day is going to be. This is all I said was to be in my office. I'm not telling you to miss your 40-hour job. Tuesday, May 2nd, I replied respectfully and told you the dates of May 7th and May 12th. I don't know why you're being hostile toward me, because it's obviously escalated on your end while I'm still lost as to why you're doing this to me to begin with. Question mark, question mark, question mark. I don't know what I have done. I have not broken any policies. I replied my next day off was May 7th and May 12th. But if it is important or needed to be rushed, I can come in on Friday the 5th. I just have to bring my boys with me. Question mark. I said, just let me know. And then another bulletin. Then your next reply to me is that I'm suspended. Question mark. Just wow. May 4th, Thursday. You replied that I'm off the schedule until I come in. Question mark. So that means I'm suspended. On what grounds, sir? Question mark. Because I couldn't take away from my 40-hour job? Question mark. I told you what my next day off was, sir. Question mark. I explained if it needed to be this week that I could come in, sir, but that I had to bring my children, sir. Question mark. Now that's the end of the wow. Can I move forward?
Your original text is the next text.
So that was my first one. And so
Right. That's the third one he received.
Okay. So we are on record saying that whether it was communication or not, that was jumbled. So which one do you want me to mix to?
Your original text. You already read the wow and the
Okay,
still.
so mine, on my end, it says, I still don't know what this is about, but I want.
Right. You've already read that.
Uh-huh.
Read your original
Okay.
text to me.
Okay, this one. The third one. Says your original text was that I needed to come in ASAP. I replied that I can't miss my main income, so I give you my entire schedule. You replied briefly, I didn't ask you to miss 40 one of your next day off. I didn't recorrect you, but you did. You said ASAP. As soon as possible is a verbatim for you know what I'm trying to say, abbreviation to ASAP. As soon as possible means ASAP. You did not ask for my next day off in your original text to me, sir. I can send your own text back to you if you need me to. Question mark. I respectfully replied May 7th and 12th, but if it's a rush on it, I can come in tomorrow after my surgery appointment. They just have to come with me, so let me know. And then your next reply to me was that I was suspended. On what grounds, sir? At this point, I'm freaking out, because I'm like, why am I taking off the roster? His immediate reply to me, like, because I'm like, what, can I be frank? What the fuck? Officer Whitehouse, I need you to be in my office on May the 7th at 1100 hours. You will need a police identification badge and duty weapon with you. And I still have no clue as to why this all originated, because we talked on Sunday. We talked Sunday. And this isn't the first time. So I want to, this is the main hoo-ha, the pimple pop, and this is where it broke, because in speaking with my lieutenant and my captain during this whole situation, because I obviously don't have good communication with Assistant Chief Marshal. I get upset. He is very hostile, and that's he sends what he wants, like, and then doesn't give you anything back. It's my way or no way, and he doesn't get anything back. And case in point, I'll show you. We can mark it off. This is one of the things. When we had the festival, my chief had told me in the group that said about the festival, what was it called? Hoedown? It wasn't a hoedown. It was the last one we did.
Spring fling?
Spring fling. Said that, I made a comment in the group text. I made a comment saying, so we're always needing money, but thankfully this week I got my 41 hours in for the first time. I said, when will the checks be cut? And it'll be like a week out. And the assistant, or the chief said, be cut that morning. I didn't get back with him soon enough about that, so we had a work stream, and then I asked about the festival again. Lieutenant West was there, and he's like, I'll split with you. I said, oh, really? You know, very thankful, appreciative to him. So I met West that night, took over, and I did, I believe it was 2 a.m. until 10 a.m. Recovery shift. He didn't ask me, but I had that tight. He was like, well, tell me if you want to. I'm like, you know, just to help out, I'll stay over. He told my captain that. I said, I'll stay over and hang out, because there's a lot of people, a lot of traffic, a lot of footwork, and it'll be good to see us walking through, okay? So I stayed from 10 a.m., from 2 a.m. to 10 a.m. Check wasn't cut. We walked around until, I think, almost 2, because as we were walking around, the chief turned around and said, Jessica, it's almost 2, you need to go get your voice. And I said, yeah, that's right. Well, Lieutenant West spoke up for me and said, well, she's been waiting on her check. That's when the chief said, it'll be here, it'll be in your box Sunday. Just come on in Sunday. I said, okay. So I take everything, leave, go back. I text my captain. I don't know what we were talking about, because we talked about other stuff. I didn't know what's going on here. And I said, hey, will you remind the chief, because we really need it, because I had spent my last $35, it was $55 on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. I gave my babysitter $35, that's all I had, so I could work this festival. I gave her it all. And I reminded him, I said, hey, will you remind me, because I know my chief has a lot going on with that check, and you made sure it puts in box Sunday to get it to work, to start the work. Yeah, I'll remind him. That's it. Prior to me leaving, the chief said that, or no, he called me that Saturday, after me and Captain Hunt spoke. And my chief called me, just busy with boys. I called him back, and he said the check won't be in until Monday. They have a family emergency. He doesn't know when it's going to come in. They're going to be flying in, and when they get done, they're going to do assignment. I said, okay, you don't know? He said, I don't know when it'll be, but it should be for Monday. He said, get with Assistant Chief Miles about your check. Let's go to that one. Monday, April 17th, 12:22 p.m. Hey, it's Whitehouse. I'm waiting on that check so I can go into work today. We really did. That's why I worked in the overnight detail. Chief called Saturday night and let me know that that we was not getting paid like they promised us the same day pay, but that we had to wait for someone to come back in today, to sign the checks and bring them into the office, He said he would not be here today, but to check in with you. I just wanted to make sure y'all know that we need it really badly and I can't go into work without that check. So as soon as it comes in, will you please let me know? Wait, let me go back. Will you please let me know? I need to get on the clock at my main job. Oversharing. I said it screwed me up by not getting it on Saturday. I could have said $50 for the babysitter fee for Saturday, but I paid the babysitter all I could so I could work the detail. So I did have a plan. I planned accordingly. I guess the vendor changed the path because I didn't know if it was a family situation at this point, or why they had to fly out of town. I planned accordingly. I guess the vendor changed the path to paying us. So now I'm stuck without a way to work until I'm paid. The vendor shouldn't have dropped the ball, so it's not our fault. Our chief, it's their fault in my opinion. But as soon as you let me know it's there, I'll come running so I can get into work. Thank you, Assistant Chief. Praying hands and emoji for our heart. That was on Monday, 17th. He replied on April the 18th. Good afternoon. Hey, can you finish your radar wall by this weekend? I replied, good morning. I didn't hear back from you about my check. We desperately need it. I've had to borrow gas money to get to work every day. I still haven't gotten paid for the detail. This is Wednesday by this point. We were supposed to be paid on Saturday morning, and we're now on Wednesday, 5 days later. Can you please let me know something about that? I can come by late tonight, pick it up after work, but I won't be off until 8:30 p.m. As far as the radar lock, I can see on the schedule that I come back on the 29th and 30th. The 29th and 30th of April is within the time limit I'm allowed to send it back, I think. I took the class on November the 16th, I can kind of finish it this next weekend, but unless it's emergency or time sensitive, I can't come in. This weekend I'm working my main job. I'm mandated to be there for the new schedule change. They are cracking down on us hard. 2 veteran Atlanta officers have already quit. 1 Atlanta officer was just terminated. We have a new boss that took over April the 1st. It's termination or loss of hours if I take away from a main income job. So I can't do that anymore. But if it's an emergency or time sensitive, I will come in. If it can wait until I return on the 29th, I would like to wait. If that's okay, Just let me know. Thank you very much. And then we jump to the situation with my sister's kitchen. He still didn't tell me about the check. I had to be told by the chief, and I finally got the check on Friday. By that point, I had borrowed, I think, $160, so the whole check was ate up. I had to borrow, added,
Officer Whitehouse, what
So
is the complaint on that?
The complaint is that you gave me an order to speak with the assistant chief about my check. You said get with him.
I said get with him about the checks because he'll know if they're in the boxes or not.
And I reached out to him like you told me to, and he ignored me.
So that detail was an extra detail. It wasn't regular work stuff. Do you think that maybe the assistant chief has other things he's doing than going to, if he didn't respond, he didn't respond. Where's the misconduct in that?
No, this is just a point of his communication, how he communicates.
But you're saying he's hostile with you.
This past week he's been hostile.
You do understand. So let's discuss this past week then. Is that all your evidence that you have?
No, I have more.
Can I ask one question?
Yes.
You're accusing him of being hostile, but do you ever speak to him on the phone, or are y'all communicating strictly by text message?
He called me Sunday, and I think he may, I'm not putting my hand on it, I don't think he's called me but maybe once other times.
Did you try to call him then, or are you just text messaging?
No, when he reaches out to text me, I reply with text. I don't call him because usually I'm in Atlanta and we can't.
I just don't like the text messages
because
I see when you're reading them, you're very nice when you're reading yours, you're harshly when you're reading his. So you're assuming that he's being hostile when you're reading his text message.
That's how I perceive it, yes.
That's your
And that is
perception.
your opinion, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So if he could just be stating the facts instead of, and I do see with your text messages, they're very long. You do get emotional.
I get over accommodating. I'm
You're
trying to
pulling,
help.
and I do know you have a lot going on. My condolences to the loss of your sister. But as far as work, keeping it strictly work.
Yeah.
Instead of pulling all of, and I understand you're having a hard time, I do. My heart goes out to that. I know it's tough being a single mom, 2 kids, but as far as running the police department and him just strictly saying, this is what we're expecting you to do as far as working, and whenever you reply back to him, you're pulling all other kinds of stuff in, and I don't feel through that he's being hostile by not saying something or acknowledging everything that you say in your text messages. He's strictly keeping it business.
I still don't understand.
And that's why I don't like the text.
I don't
If you could make a phone call so that you could talk to him, y'all could both see how you're speaking to each other.
It's almost like we're not even in the same conversation. That's how bad it is. Because my mind, I'm like, it goes like this, boom, and I've got the entire world on my shoulders. And it's not just the text. That was just, let's not even, I was just giving you an example of the bad communication, because I'm like, well, dang. And I explained it to the chief and to my captain, and I'm like, I explained to him that we needed it. Like, why would he not answer me? Like, hey, I need you to come in and finish this radar. Never mind the fact I come in and finish the radar. Okay, so we'll go back to.
And I see that the check was completely out of his hands.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with him,
Yes.
but I was following orders and I was trying to communicate with him like he'd asked me to. So,
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm in a meeting.
the next one I have, I'm sorry, the roadblock incident.
No, that's my fault. Just put me down for a second, please. Thank you. I apologize.
I'm just giving, this is the hostile part to me didn't happen until this week.
Okay, so your complaint is his
The
actions
that's
this week.
hostile. I'm talking about the nitpick every week. It's something every week during my work hours, and I have, extraordinarily went above and beyond and explaining in great detail, emotionally, financially, professionally, how it's affecting my work week, and we discussed
Okay.
it. And you gave me advice.
Well, I did, and I'm going to get to that now. So here's the thing. In the past, what you're discussing is you not completing your tasks. You had a arrest report that wasn't handled in a timely manner. The assistant chief's job, let me talk.
I don't understand.
The arrest, you wrote a citation for marijuana, which is an arrest. It's a release, but you had to get that, you had evidence. Did you not have drug evidence?
Yes, and I finished that.
You did not finish that report that night.
No, I finished the evidence because the.
When do you think
computer-
stop interrupting me. When do you think that report should have got done? You've been in law enforcement, what, 7 years? When should that report got done?
Can I answer? We should have done that night, but the computer system was logging us out, and then it logged him out of my manual.
Okay,
Y'all told me to
so
take it home.
we didn't tell you to take it home. You blemish what's happened. You asked me if you could take home a computer, and I told you no, that we needed our computers here. You said when you could come back in to finish the report, and then I allowed you to take a computer with the understanding that computer had to be back within 2 days' time.
I didn't
Because
know
that's
that.
how long you did, because you were standing there, I was speaking to you. There's no way you would misunderstand that unless you weren't listening, Jessica. You confirmed you took the computer home. Assistant Chief Mobbs doesn't act on his own. He is a direct reflection, and I've stated this to you and all officers. If he asks you something, it's coming from the chief. He had to hunt you down for a week to get that computer, to the point where the captain had to come and get the computer from you, did he not?
Never had any contact with Assistant Chief. The first time I was contacted by you was him. I
He,
said, "Is
he
it-
didn't call you and you didn't return
No, sir.
calls or texts?
No,
Because,
sir.
because when was the last time I called you, Jessica? Officer Whitehouse, when was the last time I called you?
We'll go back. You asked me. If you
I know the answer. When was the last time I called you?
I don't know, we haven't talked in a while.
You're right, because you haven't returned my call in 7 days.
I haven't gotten a call from you.
Sunday, 2:45, a week from today.
No, I didn't get a call from you. I'm looking at my missed calls right now. I just went under my missed calls.
Says you sent one.
Do you know why I called you on Sunday?
The Sunday that he called me? So this was this past Sunday?
7 days ago. Do you know why I called you on Sunday?
No.
Because you were the on-duty officer, and I had a call. I did not give you permission to switch. You had brought it up that you were thinking about switching, and I said, you need to let me know if you're going to do that. You said, no, I need an extra day to work because we're hurting for money. I said, then I authorize you to work an extra day.
And
That is the no. You're gonna have time to make a statement at the end, and you said okay.
my
You,
sister
you,
died.
your sister passed away the Friday before that Sunday you asked to work. You were at work and text me, and I said, are you at work? I could read the exact text that you said. Are you at work? Are you okay are you up to that? And you said, I'm fine, I'm just staying away from people. That was the end of the communication I had with you. You sent me 7 other texts after that about your radar log. Did I respond? Because you answered your own question about your radar log during the 6 texts that you sent me. Or you had talked to Lieutenant Midderbrooks during the time you were waiting on me to respond. So there's no need for me to talk to you about a radar log.
I'm trying to pull this up. I see that I'm taking it slow. I'm okay right now. I'm going to see her after meeting her body. I'm okay right now. I promise. I'm not.
You don't have to read the whole text.
Okay.
Just tell me how many that are there before I respond.
She didn't.
I
and
did.
actually, I see where 2 of them didn't even go through.
Yeah, and that's an issue with your phone, and that's been an issue in the past about responding and your phone not working. You just sat 2 weeks ago with me and the lieutenant talking about you not responding to someone when you think you're in trouble, and that action had to stop.
And it has.
Stop.
Because when you called me, I talked.
I'm not interrupting you when you speak. Don't interrupt me.
Well, then can I have a piece of paper so that I can go back to these? Or a pen, sorry. Because we did this stuff, and I've made changes.
We just had a talk. We had a talk about you seeking help that the assistant chief set up for you, and we had a talk about you responding to calls. 7 days without a return call to me on a Sunday because you're the on-duty officer. So you understand there's only the email that you sent the assistant chief this past weekend and 2 other emails that are correspondence between you and him. We have the text messages of your interaction, which are not the same as what you're sending. You sent screenshots of the interaction you had with me that never happened. If you look at the screenshot, it shows that those texts failed to send.
The last 2, yes, sir.
So there's no interaction that you've had with me. The request to switch was never authorized. You spoke with the captain on Sunday. Do you think that anybody in the staff does anything without me speaking to them? When it comes to command staff, that I follow up or know what I'm talking about before I sit down? Do you
Well,
think
you
that
asked
I
me-
don't know what interaction you've had with the assistant chief all week?
So you've known that he sent me these things?
Do you not think that he was told to text you that you don't answer phone calls?
I was communicating with this.
You
Can
don't-
I speak?
You can hold that till the end.
Okay.
On Sunday, when you were the on-duty officer, I had to call dispatch and ask who the on-duty officer was. They said no one. We had an incident where a council member called us for an emergency. Myself and Assistant Chief Mobbs responded. We worked for 7 hours on that Sunday that you were scheduled to work. Your captain was called. Instead of jumping the gun, your captain was called. I was there for that conversation. I spoke with your captain. Did you authorize Officer Whitehouse, to be off? Did you authorize her to be off?
I do not.
What did you advise her?
I advise her to make contact with
Did you make contact with me?
No, it was a reminder. He said, shoot him a reminder, so.
It wasn't a reminder. You never confirmed that you wanted to switch. That was the conversation we had. That's not a reminder. Unless you go through and say, yes, I want to do that, that's not a confirmation. You had mentioned it, you never confirmed. Like on many incidents, you never confirmed. You didn't return my call, you weren't at work during a scheduled time. It's dereliction of duty, it's missing it's abandoning the post. It's leaving the city at risk. If I'm counting on an officer to be here, and they're not. Now I got blind spots. We don't have 24-hour coverage. But I know when I don't have 24-hour coverage, I need to be close. So now Sunday, for 7.5 hours, I'm working. And so is the assistant chief, because you're not here. And you're not answering your phone. And you didn't get permission. He finally got a hold of you Sunday night after the situation you were dealing with, which I understand you're going through a lot. I've asked you if you need time off. You have not taken that time off. That is your choice, not this agency's. You asked for more work. You said you're going to limit yourself and not overextend yourself. That conversation has happened a multitude of times with you about overextending yourself when it comes to this agency and just in general in life. But we're not talking about personal life. We're talking about your duty to this city. Sunday night, he called you, or he got a hold of you.
That was the
You,
first time
you,
he contacted me about it.
you stated, oh no, he texted you too, saying you're supposed to be on duty.
And I replied back.
Right. And then it was checked, which wasn't the truth. When he talked to you Sunday night, you were not with somebody. You were in a drive-thru at McDonald's.
I
Do you,
just left the park.
do you know why? Because I was there while the phone was on speaker. It was a very nice conversation. Hey, and your response was, hey, look, if I can get the radar stuff done, you automatically cut him off.
It was very nice.
You automatically cut him off.
Mhm.
And he was like, look, that's not a big issue. Don't worry about that. That was his tone. I was standing beside him. He said, hey, do me a favor. And then you shared a lot of stuff that was going on in your personal life. You understand this is a professional environment and you don't need to share. You have been asked not to share during the police department group chats, that that's a personal thing to do offline with somebody instead of sharing it in the group chat, pass for information.
Have I shared anything recently in the group?
Listen, I'm saying that has been an issue in the past. So you're oversharing with the assistant chief. I don't believe you have that relationship with the assistant chief to be oversharing. He asks you a specific question, it's a specific response. I and the mayor don't have long, drawn-out chats. Are you busy? Are you able for a phone call? And then we have a phone call about the topic that we're having, because that's my boss. They don't have long, drawn-out conversations with me when it comes to work-related things. It's very precise. The texts are quick. That's it. That's what text is for, so there is no misconstruing the tone. He spoke to you, said, hey, do me a favor. I need to see you as soon as possible. When can you come in on your next day off? That's what he said.
On the
I'm
phone call,
standing
when did you-
beside him.
Okay,
So
what was
either
my
I'm a
reply?
liar,
What was my
either
reply?
I'm a liar, or you're not telling the truth. Which
What
one
was
is it?
my reply, sir?
You said, I don't know when my next day off is. I'll have to get back with you. And he said, that's fine. Give me a call tomorrow and let me know.
I don't
That is-
remember that.
Well, you know what? His memory's pretty spot on. And my memory's pretty spot on from standing beside him while I'm working your shift.
If I'm giving you all of these details, why would I sit there and admit if I'm in the line at McDonald's, and so if you were there and you were on speakerphone, you heard my children screaming and crying. But
I did.
I mean, I didn't even know what we ate. I can tell you everything that we
Okay.
ate. He said, come in and see me when you get a chance.
So
And I
then I'm
said,
lying.
okay. That's how I'm telling you I remember it. He
I'm
said, come in and see me,
standing
you know, when-
beside him for the
Okay.
conversation, Officer Whitehouse.
I would have gave him a date. I would have said, I'm working all week.
You didn't give him a date. You said, I'm working all week. I'll have to get back with you and let you know. Then, you didn't call him Monday.
He didn't tell me to call him.
He did tell you to call him. I asked him Monday, end of shift, did you hear back from Officer Whitehouse? No, I did not. Text her.
He
He
texted me on Tuesday,
texted you on Tuesday.
and I replied.
You replied with a bunch of other stuff instead of
Going off of what you told me.
when I'm going. I did not tell you to not listen to your assistant chief, Officer Officer Whitehouse. He is the assistant chief of police. He is your boss's boss. If he contacts you, if I contact any of these gentlemen, they call me back within 30 minutes. If they can't call me back within 30 minutes, they call me back by end of day when they're done at their regular jobs. When someone calls me, it's 30 minutes or end of day, depending on what I'm doing. It doesn't go by day by day by day. You don't hear from me. I'm calling you whether you work for me or I work for you, or you're a citizen, because that's the right thing to do.
Can I see?
We're going to discuss these facts in your complaint. He contacted you and you gave him a big long text not answering his response or question. You just read it to us. They're not in the order you sent them. You've had an issue with your phone for a while.
Well,
You're supposed to-
What am I supposed to do about the cell phone?
I'm not even going to get into your finances because that's not the point. You took an oath. You signed a contract to do your job.
I answered.
If we want to talk about broke and incomes, you're probably the highest paid person at the table according to you and your texts. So do you really want to go that route with everyone sitting here?
We can pull up my
It doesn't
records.
matter.
We can pull up my finances.
Your
This
finances
the first
is
week
your
I've gotten 40
responsibility.
hours since
Your-
December, January of last
Officer
year.
Whitehouse, your finances are your responsibility. Your duty to the agency is your other responsibility.
And I do
They
my
shouldn't
diligence.
interfere with each other. If they do, you need to prioritize one or the other.
Have I not come to you, Chief? Have I not come to you and to Captain and even come to Lieutenant Millbrooks about the computer coming in? You asked me to do it. I did. I come in at 9:45.
It's your job.
But you're saying that I don't. when it's, you need to come in, you're saying that I don't.
This is the
provide
assistant chief telling him he needs to see you.
reply.
Why do you think he needed to see you? Maybe because you weren't on post when you were supposed to
I
be?
had no idea at this point, because I thought that Sunday was already cleared up. Sunday when we spoke on the phone,
Who's we?
me and assistant chief, I
He-
thought the whole thing was
He
cleared
said,
up.
I need to see you.
Come in and see me.
You're assuming. He said, I need to see you.
I didn't know what it
In
was.
my office. You know what? If my boss calls me and tells me I need to see her in her office, I know that
That's
this is
not
important.
how I received it, Chief, and I have no reason to lie. I'm looking you straight in the face.
Okay.
Sunday when I was in the line at McDonald's after leaving Generational Park in Thomaston, I said,
What does the text say? I need to see you and talk to you about some things. On the phone call, I need to see you. Let me know when that
Come
is.
by my office as soon as you can. Got some things I need to go over with you.
Mhm.
That doesn't sound like he's getting on to me about anything.
Why should it sound not like he's getting on to you?
I don't know
Again,
what
you're
he's
the
talking
one who's
about.
saying he has a personal problem with you. Obviously, the text doesn't show that. It's, hey, I need to speak to you in person.
And then I replied, I said, this is my schedule, because you told me
What day was that?
this was Tuesday.
Okay, what day was the other text? I don't need to see it. I've got it right here. What day was the other text?
Which one?
The one he says, I need you to come by my office.
Tuesday at
Right.
1:02 p.m.
That's the second time he's told you to come to his office. Again, standing beside him during the phone call.
And I'm, and
All right, let's move on. You
I would have told him the next day off. I would have said it's the 7th or the 12th.
then
I
you
don't-
hit him with all that response about your next day off, and you could bring your children in. You
I
don't-
didn't say it like that, Chief.
I am subparagraphing the lengthy text you're
I was
sending him
very
instead of
accommodating.
just responding.
I said, what do you
You're
want me to do?
Stop interrupting me. You're doing what you're doing now. You're questioning him, you're attacking him, and you're not responding
I'm
to his
attacking
order.
him.
You're not responding to his order, which is, I need you to come to my office. When can you come in? This is when I can come in. Roger that. Call me ahead of time. Let me know you're coming in. That's the proper response. That is not what's happened in any of these text
I
messages.
laid my schedule so that he could tell me, because he wants me to come
He-
in when
he-
it's during the weekday, and I can't.
Do you not understand what you're doing? Then you sent a lengthy text accusing him of misconduct. I've yet to see any misconduct. However, I am open to an investigation to make sure there's no misconduct. You also stated that he gave you permission. He has just stated he did not give you permission, and that he was on your side about this misconduct and abuse. Lieutenant Middlebrooks, I'm talking to Lieutenant Middlebrooks. Lieutenant Middlebrooks, are you aware of any misconduct or abuse from the Assistant Chief to Officer Whitehouse?
Because what it appears is there's a misunderstanding. That I can kind of see where the suspension part may be misconstrued, but there's never any mention of a confrontation.
Because of you're assuming what he's telling you and not responding to his orders, which are coming from me. How come Officer Whitehouse hasn't given you a date she's coming in? How come Officer Whitehouse hasn't responded? How come Officer Whitehouse hasn't returned my phone call?
I did give him the 17th, 12th, and his next to me was
That's-
30 badge and gun.
Right. You were never suspended. You were never terminated. You were never suspended. You were never terminated. Have you signed a sheet that said you were suspended?
You're taking me off the roster?
Have you signed a sheet that said you were suspended? It's a yes or no question, Officer Whitehouse.
No.
Did you sign a piece of paper saying you were terminated?
No.
Were you
told me to come in
given
for it.
were you given a piece of paper that said you were terminated?
Can I speak, please?
I asked you a question.
No, it wasn't. But I was told to
Did
bring my
anyone
stuff.
tell you you were terminated?
I was told to bring my
Standard
stuff.
suspension would require you to turn in your stuff, which you're facing a suspension for dereliction duty and abandoning post that you have yet to come in and speak with the assistant chief about, where you could have gone, hey, look, this is what happened, or hey, in person, so there's no misconstruing anything, you have failed to meet with the assistant chief of police of the police department, who was your immediate supervisor and your supervisor's supervisors. If you would have looked at the schedule, you would have saw that Captain Hearn was in training all week. So who do you respond to then? The assistant chief, correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you think the assistant chief wants to be bogged down with chasing you down?
He reached out to me and I responded
responded.
Because he was told to reach out to you by the chief of police. Because the chief of police had to come in on a Sunday and work your shift that you did not have permission not to be here. That again, you left the citizens of this city at risk. Which all you had to do was call out or do what you were told to do and call me. You did neither.
I thought it was my chain of command being a captain.
You did not tell him. He just sat here and told you.
Can I speak, please?
Go ahead.
See, he helped respond to the calls on Sunday. The first call that I received on Sunday, because I had to restart my phone, was a text from Captain or Assistant Chief, and when he texted me, I immediately responded. When he called me, I immediately picked up. To my knowledge, and what I remember while we were in the drive-thru McDonald's lot in Thomaston, Georgia, he was basically like, because I ramble. I do. It's nothing I do intentionally. That doesn't make me a bad officer. That doesn't make me a bad mother. That doesn't make me a bad person. But I over-explain because of what I've been through. Because I just do. I try to work on it. I have not, to date, invited or done anything extra in group text messages like you've asked me to. And I have. I've appropriated that. It's not been done. But sometimes I get rambling. Especially if I'm upset about my sister's death. So I spoke to him, and he said, we'll come in and see you whenever you get a chance. That's how I perceived it, and we hung up. I got my children, did my whole routine. My day starts at 5 a.m. It doesn't end most nights until 12. And then I have to get back up. I do this 5 times a week. And then on the weekends, I go to my main, like yesterday, to Atlanta. That started, and every other weekend, I'm with the Warm Springs Police Department. I never stop. I never get a break for myself. I was very accommodating in my text messages when he asked me when the next available. I wasn't being mean by saying I can bring my children. I was trying to be accommodating, like, I'll come as soon as possible. That's how I perceived it. I said, I'll bring them in. We were in the meeting for almost 2.5, 3 hours, because he had physical, occupational speech, his cerebral palsy, and for his brace fitting. Everybody that was there this past Friday, so we had to do everything in one big shebang. I went home. I was exhausted. I took a nap. I had 3 or 4 hours all week, Monday through Friday. Went home, took a nap, woke up to a text of, you need to bring your badge and gun. I carried my badge and gun with honor. I don't hand it over very lightly. I carry it with honor. And he can say, all of them can say, without a reason or doubt, that I have compassion and love for law enforcement. That's why I stepped away when I was going through a divorce. My husband abandoned me. We lost our home. We were homeless. I stepped away through all the death. I said, I'm not good mentally right now to deal with this. I stepped away, kept my certification in good standing, came back here, thought that was it. Everything's been fine. I have a great relationship with all these guys. I have a great relationship with the chief. But when Assistant Chief came in, it seems like it just, he even apologized. At our banquet, you know that the Assistant Chief apologized the way he acted the night of the roadblock. It's just little things. And I've made it clear, I know that I will give respect. I can have a different opinion about somebody and can separate that. To my understanding, when all this was brought forward, that I would answer to my captain. I forgot he had training, but when I spoke to him, it was not anything intentionally or malicious intent, or I'm just going to skip out. I ain't never done that. I have never been a no-show, no-call. Go back and look at my law enforcement career from 2013. I have never just been like, I'm going to abandon post. That's not who I am. I'll let somebody know. Now, that may be my fault that I spoke with Captain Kern. We talked. He heard the stress I was under. He called me down. I was like, oh, crap, I did forget to send a reminder to the chief about the, to my knowledge, program situation that we had in here. So when Assistant Moss contacted me, I answered him with a text, sent him a picture of me and my kids at the park. He said, we had a hard day. Just got to park my kids. No, I wasn't supposed to. This is who I talked to. What's going on? The problem? He called me. I spoke with him. Again, come see me when you can. I said, okay, yes, sir. Didn't hear nothing from him. Monday went by. Tuesday, he sent that text. And because of the previous interactions and talks that we had before, because I will, I'll ever extend myself. If they say something like, hey, we need to come in, I'll come running. I'll miss like $80, $40 because it's $49, or I'll miss gas money driving here and doing that. It's real hard on me. And then I compound it, and then when it gets to the point where it's hurt me financially or it's hurt time away from my children, I finally say something. And they have directed me about that. If you can't come in, tell them no. This emergency, yes, you have to. You have to. That's your job. You're an officer. You come. That's where you're calling. I agree to that. So this week, I was like, and I wasn't being mean. I wasn't being mean, and you can look at my text messages.
Officer Whitehouse,
I wasn't being mean.
you're restating the same things you've already stated.
You
You
said I
haven't
could speak.
you haven't presented any new evidence.
You said I could speak.
Right. You're restating things that have already been said.
I spoke to the assistant chief. He says that he was trying to track me down. I handed my phone over. It's 12:31, my birthday. You can look at my call. We talked on the 21st, and like I said in my text, I said I might have spoke and didn't have a conversation with you, but either way, I had just had a serious situation happen with my sister, and then I spoke with my captain about it. So in my mind, I talked to two people. I talked to my chief and my assistant chief. My captain. And so about them, the misconduct, abuse, I presented the same things I'm presenting to you, and when I was speaking with them, I didn't say that. I guess it come off. You're right. The text messages shouldn't be used or utilized because it wasn't that they don't like moms or anything like that. It was, hey, do y'all see anything that I've done wrong? And they were like, well, we think, kind of like touchy, like grabbing, like, well, we think it might be from log. And even Middlebrooks had said that he was going through a bad zone, so he couldn't really hear it. So I was like, does anybody know what this is really about? Because I still, at this point, don't know. And then Captain Hearn told me the night or the day, Friday, when I woke up from after the school appointment, he said, you really need to reach out and just talk to him. This is a big misunderstanding. This whole thing is a big misunderstanding. You need to reach out and talk to him. That was the first text I read. The second one was, you need to bring your badge and gun in. I've never, even when I was suspended with Spalding County, I don't know how this department works, but I've never been pinned to a wall without even being able to speak to somebody or having an understanding what's going on. Because at this point, it doesn't seem like it's on fire. I didn't know that it was on fire. Had I known it was on fire, I would have come in and been like, hey, can we meet at 9 p.m. at night? Or can you meet me halfway? Or can we do something? I would have accommodated. Surely, because all my texts say, what do you want me to do? Question mark. I can come in. This is my schedule. So nothing of my intent was to evade him or not speak to. Do I like speaking to him sometimes through text? No, because to me, I have no problem with Middlebrooks. I have no problem with
Officer
Chief.
Whitehouse.
I have no problem with
Officer
Captain
Whitehouse.
Hearn.
Officer Whitehouse. Doesn't matter if you have a problem with
I don't
command
have-
staff or not.
I understand
Your
the text,
job,
I guess, is what I'm saying.
your assistant chief was contacting you. Your responsibility was to contact them in a timely manner. A week is not a timely manner.
I did answer him, sir.
Then you accused him of misconduct that I've yet to see.
The
I will
misconduct-
ask, the misconduct is what? What is the misconduct?
I don't understand, Chief, and I don't know.
That he asked you to bring your badge and your gun and your ID? So I told him to tell you that.
I don't understand the escalation to what, we can go back
You're
over it
not
again.
answering him, Officer Whitehouse.
was.
He is asking you when you can come in.
And I
Stop.
answered him.
Stop and listen. He is asking you when you come in. He's not asking you for a maybe, a when, or this. A direct answer is, I can come in on this date at this time. He asked you on the phone. He asked you to call him back. He asked you in a text. And you have increasingly became hostile
I'm hostile
or,
now.
sit down please, or, I've seen all the texts, or you have given him way too much information instead of answering the question.
Can you answer this? You asked
Do
me
you not think that your text messages are condescending?
how are they condescending?
You're reading them as they're not, but do you not think that they're condescending in tone?
Just what do you not understand? You don't think
I'm
that-
talking about yours, not his.
Mine are
His
condescending.
that text message he sent was demanding because of the text messages you're already sending him. He's asking you
I
a
didn't
specific
tell you
question.
one. That's the first one.
Officer Whitehouse, he's asking you a specific question. You're saying, well, I could do it this time or that time. You see, I can read your text and twist it, just like
Somebody saying,
you're
"This is my schedule,
twisting
when
his
can I
stuff.
come in?"
Very, 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 very. Please, 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 please. That can be misconstrued. It could be considered as being smart or disrespectful.
It's not.
I don't text people that way. Do I need to poll the room?
I don't understand what you're trying to say. You're saying I'm being mean by saying please?
I'm saying that your text could be taken as condescending when the person from command staff right underneath me is trying to contact you.
And
is what I'm saying.
I contacted him back. He asked me, and I did. I said,
Again,
May 7th.
you're arguing instead of listening. You're making things, you're misconstruing things that were simple. You needed to come in and see the assistant chief. You were in trouble because you missed a shift. You did not have permission prior to missing that shift. That's simple. That's come in and take your licks and keep on moving. All of us have been there. But instead of owning your mistake, you have blown this out of proportion as far as I can see. I have yet to see misconduct. But an official complaint is not text. Also, this is a complaint form from this agency, which is on your thumb drive. This is how you file an EOC.
Thumbs up, sorry.
Did you notify your
I did.
supervisor your
I
thumb
notified
drive was
you
broke?
about 3 weeks ago.
You notified me your thumb drive was broke.
The chain to the thumb drive broke off. And I told you that I lost the piece. The metal piece that hooks up to the keys is lost. And I told you that about 2 to 3
That
weeks
doesn't
ago.
break your thumb drive. That's a keychain.
Because the device that was holding the thumb drive snapped open. The
You've
thumb drive-
lost your thumb drive.
Correct.
That is not
I said it.
the same thing. But before you fill that out, you need to be concerned with the situation at hand.
Did you or did you not, if I can have the floor for just 1 minute, did you or did you not have a meeting about me? And the way things were being handled and how gas receipts, when other officers had 6 or 7, I was being contacted about that. I just had a
Everybody was contacted.
I had a medical emergency with my son, and I reached out to Assistant Chief Moss, and I said, as soon as I get a chance, I've always been accommodating, and I've always been respectful. Respectful. He's always come back at me, just like the night of the marijuana. Miss Whitehouse, Officer Whitehouse, how long have you been a cop? How long? I said, since 2013. I graduated in 2013 on 14. He said, what are you doing? What are you missing? And Captain Hearn wasn't there, but Middlebrooks was. He was actually trying to attempt to log in my computer because he couldn't log in. I said, I actually said something in fact of, well, what are you getting at? Like, what are you doing wrong? And I didn't like the way it was. As a female in this industry, you know, it's a man's world. It's a glass ceiling effect. You know, you got people that are not going to give you the same respect as a male would. And so finally I was like, I don't know, tell me, Assistant Chief, gloves, you're not wearing gloves handling the marijuana. Something we didn't even have in the office. I said, we don't have any. And then I think, to my knowledge, to my recollection, he said to Chief, do we not have any? He's like, no, I got to order some. So like little things like that. And then when we had our banquet, Assistant Moss pulled me to the side, and he basically pretty much apologized in this sort of way. He said, hey, just want to let you know you did a good job on the traffic stop. The same one that you mocked me for was telling me, like, asking me, how long have you been an officer? Well, you're not doing something right. Think about it. What are you doing? How long have you been a cop? When somebody talks to you that way, I'm all about locker room, getting in, being funny, bouncing off. I'm all about that. But when you're in a room full of men and he's sitting there going, how long have you been a cop? I think anybody can perceive it that way. And then don't come for me about stuff, me not using equipment that we don't even have at our department. You know what I mean? Because he was like, oh, we don't have any gloves?
Officer Whitehouse, you're starting to repeat. Are you accusing the Assistant Chief of being sexist now?
No, I'm not. I'm just giving you an example of how he's handled things when he talks to me. So at the banquet, he said, next year at the banquet, we'll make sure that you get an award. I said, for what? He said, you did a really good job on that traffic stop. And so I thought that was strange. I was like, okay, what is he talking about? I brought it to my captain's attention. I'm like, what happened? And I don't know what they discussed, but I know that something was said. Captain Hearn, I mean, I don't remember.
Discussed about, I'm sorry, I'm not tracking with you.
About his demeanor towards me.
You
And that's
didn't
why
discuss his demeanor. I mean, I didn't discuss his demeanor or anything like that.
I don't know why he took it. It wasn't on his own.
Are we talking about the road check?
Yes.
Are you-
It wasn't
Okay.
on his own.
I wasn't, I left.
Are you
earlier.
assuming that he was spoken to? Is that what you're saying?
No,
You were told he was spoken to?
I said that something must have been said because I don't think he could come
Okay.
on his own and say
The
something.
only thing, okay, I know what you're referring to now. Should I speak? Because I thought I was like, yeah? Okay. So, when it comes down to the marijuana report, the marijuana evidence, the equipment usage, let's see, I became involved, it was after the road check. And I was told that there was some issue that occurred after I had left. So I already had gone home. And there was an issue that came about in regards to how the report was written, et cetera. So I did do an investigation to find out when the report was written, when it was reviewed, and when it was finalized. And it wasn't horrible. Okay, when it comes down to the equipment usage, it had gone on for like 3 or 4 days, longer than, don't quote me because I can't remember. But I had to make an arrangement with Officer Whitehouse for her to meet me at another day to return the equipment because of scheduling, and that she had the equipment too long. And then we actually met that same day after hours, like late in the evening, like 8 or 9 o'clock when I got home. That she drove back into the county and returned the equipment, then I returned the next day. So that's what I recall about that. But as far as any discussion about, I seem to recall there being something like, you know, they were upset at each other. But other than that, it was resolved. So I don't like have a lot of, I didn't have any input in it. But.
And then I was contacted, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I was contacted again after it had been 7 days, the laptop was already returned. And he had called, and sometimes, and just being honest, sometimes if I have my hands full, if I'm doing something, and I see that the chief's called, I don't have time, if he calls me and then Dina texts me, I saw that Dina, and I opened it, I'm like, because I'm at this point, me and the boys overslept, I'm trying to get them ready for school so they're not late for school. And I looked down and it said something about the computer. I'm like, I returned the computer, what are you talking about? And I put 2 and 2 together, and no, I didn't call him back because that's why he was calling me. Because we figured out why he was calling me. I had already done it. I had turned it back over 7 days ago.
Yeah, that was.
But they were coming after me instead of, you see what I'm saying? And then the following week was the guy's receipts. He says that he contacted everybody.
Matter of fact, you two were outside talking when I walked past you with the equipment. Because I turned him, I says, got your computer?
And I'm like,
walked past you guys, and then I guess that never got to Assistant Chief Miles, who thought he was still after the computer, but it had already been returned.
you see how it seems, and I'm not trying to put anybody a nail on the wall, but it's like every week it's something. And to me, that's why I said this is out of control, because we talked at length, we talked resources and everything. If Officer Whitehouse, if you've got your job, it's your main job, or a child's need, or something like that, and you can't come in, if it's a meeting, again, at this point, I still, till today, I didn't know what the actual reason was, because I was told that it wasn't there. The radar was missing, or that something was done from it, or it could be from the Sunday situation, so I still didn't know. But you need to put your foot down. You need to stop saying yes, that you can work it, or yes, you can take the class. And so I'm thinking, okay, I'm not doing anything mean. I'm just going to be, I'm going to put my foot down as far as I can't break the schedule this week. Is there anything that I can do to accommodate as far as coming in? Did I over-text, over-explain, over everything? Yes. But my main prerogative was, this is my schedule this week, Assistant Chief. How can we work around each other? And every time that I got a text back, it kept getting, to me, it kept escalating. First it was, you're off the roster. This has been off the schedule. That hit me like, if you had been there, you'd have been like, oh, okay, I see.
Officer Whitehouse. Officer Whitehouse. Officer Whitehouse. Officer Whitehouse. Officer Whitehouse. If that affected you, why don't you pick up the phone and call?
Call the person that suspended me?
He's the assistant chief, is he not? He didn't suspend you. He told you took you off the roster until you made contact with him, right? Until you came
I
in?
had been in contact with him all week.
Your text messages are not responding to him. And if it was that egregious to you, why didn't you call me?
You told me I can't talk to you.
So if it was that egregious because you're avoiding the assistant chief, why are you going to call me? If the assistant chief is telling you he needs to see you, why would you call me? You had an issue once he needed to see you, Officer Whitehouse.
And I said I would come in.
You did not give a time or a date, which is what he originally asked you.
I said the 7th and the 5th is right here.
You said the 7th and the 12th, and that's still not a time or date. That is choices. He's not asking you for a choice.
Back in his court to tell me when to report.
You needed to take action and you didn't. He asked you specifically.
I gave him a date. It's right here.
What is your statement, Lieutenant?
Sorry if you may not be aware. As far as the computer situation goes, that was something that was sprung up on all of us the morning of. As far as text from Dina, because Dina and I got the same text that we were not previously made aware of. Because the guy was here to
Do the upgrades.
That's what that was about. That's right.
So we were not aware of that at all at that time, and of course there was miscommunication about what the deal was. As far as gas receipts, yes, I have the most of them. We also have a full-time computer, that's our fault as well. But some of my stuff is fine. And as far as the did I tell you what was missing from it? Which mainly was a report that needed to be filled out by somebody else.
Which
was
chief
being
advisor will
resolved.
take care of.
And Sunday, I was called as well, but I was asleep when I called me. But most of all I did. But what was it?
And that's what it's supposed to be saying.
Which they were always doing all the time.
I wasn't a bill, I was in Duluth.
Okay, now if I knew anything before, that, you know, I don't have any call. I understand that, but to my knowledge, if you go back, when I spoke to Pat and her, and I spoke to you the night that she died, to my knowledge, I've never went out of my way to do anything disciplinary or buck system. I admitted that when I feel like I'm in trouble, and you said, you can't do that, Jessica, we talked the weekend, the week after I worked training. I said, yes, sir, I won't do that anymore. I figured the stuff that asked me to come in and stop. I didn't know any of this would have happened. I didn't know that my sister would die. I didn't know that suspicion was around her death would cause me to stay up at night. I didn't know any of that. But when I spoke, I had clear indication that I didn't do anything malicious or intent. I didn't know that he wanted me to come in, and my text message proved that. So I wasn't running from Assistant Chief Hall. To me, point blank, to me, it looked like, hey, I'm here Monday through Friday, and I need you to divert from your main work schedule or your children's, your special needs children's and their appointments and stuff, and you need to come in when I need you to. And I could have taken off the backs of what y'all have advised me. Stop overextending yourself. Stop making yourself go to home. I said, no, I
That's
can't.
semantics. You're playing a wordplay on a conversation about overextending yourself instead of doing your duty, which is an assistant chief calls you, the chief calls you, your captain calls you. You already knew it was a disciplinary action because you missed work. You already were asked, aren't you supposed to be at work? I need you to come in and see me. When can you come in? You're playing semantics saying, we told you not to overextend yourself, so I was standing my ground. It's not the
That's
same.
not how- no.
That's exactly what you're doing right now.
Yes, sir. Let's
Stop interrupting me, Officer Whitehouse. You are playing semantics. You knew it was an issue. You needed to make time to come in and see the assistant chief. You failed to do that. And instead, you gave drawn out statements as you're doing, and you came up with a theory in your head instead of the facts that were placed in front of you. If you're suspended from this agency, your weapon, ID, and badge will be turned in while you're under suspension. You will be restricted on what you're allowed to do. That's any officer. It's not just you.
And you never have my badge. Just
Well, that's the standard.
Can I, about the draft report?
No one suspended you. You're reaching for things instead of dealing with the issue. You did not get permission not to be here.
And that was a misunderstanding, because I thought us talking, that's my chain of
The
command.
assistant chief is trying to talk to you about that issue. You have failed to make time. You have failed to communicate. Instead, you have turned that there's a hostile work environment with the assistant chief. I've given you a means to file a complaint, but that doesn't null and void the issues that we're having right now.
Can I have one issue
No.
where he brought me into the office, and it was for a draft report, he told me I needed to come in. That's what,
You're just going to talk over me? Officer Whitehouse, step out of the room, please.
Are we deliberating?
Oh, yes. This is my recommendation for now. Equipment and people.
I'm gonna tell you, this is, regardless of how this works out, we really need to look at how we communicate. There is everything in this whole situation is telling me that communication problems happen. Because there shouldn't be this much misunderstanding in how we're doing things. And I'm not trying to point a blame. I'm not trying to say that it's her fault or even the assistant chief's fault. But what I'm looking at here is that this was something small
What's small?
that went apeshit bananas big.
You did?
It didn't have to. I can read the text and see where it fell apart, and it was over that conversation. maybe it has to do with the way he speaks, because he does kind of have a, kind of like a gruff directness about him that I don't. And it also has to do with her sensitivity. And the problem with text is that we read our own emotions into everything. I'm sorry, Tony. We read our emotions into everything we read. And I think that's going on. The other issue is that we do have somebody who's emotionally, mentally compromised with a death recently, within a week of this whole thing happening. So
She shouldn't have been here with me.
I have an employee care issue. Well, that's one of the reasons why I was trying to counsel her. Now, this is not the first time where there has been this kind of misunderstanding, and then when she sees the light, it changes the story. So I'm like, we have to have a fitness for duty evaluation. I think that is something we need to have. As far as her complaint is concerned, complaints are perspective as much as they are reality. It's hard to change somebody's perspective or vision of the world. If I assume you're evil, that will probably remain that way, no matter what evidence is presented to me. So I don't really find any utility in trying to convince her otherwise. She'll either try to take it someplace or she won't. You know what I'm saying? But I think that that's probably a good measured response. A suspension of investigation, or not suspension, but unpaid leave. I think that's a very good measured response, and gives everybody, gives all time to discuss things at a higher level than just us. About what next steps should be in accordance, because I don't personally think there's a harassment going on. I think there's miscommunication going on. And it doesn't take long for it to, the way I read the text, Jeff could be the one getting harassed from the way I'm reading it, so we could go either way, and that's a problem. But at the same time, we're also, there's an argument for whether or not we're actually using any care for the emotional and mental well-being of an employee who so very recently suffered a loss, and instead of addressing potential assistance, we went straight to the disciplinary action, but we're not answering a request for formation. So, are we ethically good? Are we morally good? Does that matter? I think that's going to give us time to talk about that. So I think that's a good response. Please disagree with me. For anything. Okay.
Just touching on the last part you said.
Just going all different kinds of viewpoints here.
I know it was about the
Yes.
about the digital program.
And that's not the first time, right?
No.
She's been given.
Officially, yes, but not the first time it was brought
It's not
to
the
her.
first time it's been brought up. To provide assistance.
Counseling.
Just given totality. So we make it mandatory. While this carries on.
We've talked about that.
I'm not sure if you're familiar
Some
with
sort
the
of
report program. This program is provided by the state through the Department of Public Safety. They have a separate office from State Patrol and Motor Carrier and Capitol Police, separate division. There's all care support. They have specialists.
Is it PEER?
They have specialists in every region. We're reaching for. But personally spoken to a specialist from region 2, physically not, there's one for